Hey, podcast, welcome to season 2, episode 7 of the Dari Hammer podcast show. Today, I'm very excited to share my personal and intimate conversation with a very good friend whom I admire both personally and professionally. Dr. Masoud Saman is a facial plastic surgeon and one of the country's sought-after rhinoplasty surgeons, and currently practices both in Dallas, Texas, and recently also in New York City, where he had trained as a resident surgeon at Mount Sinai Hospital. To me, he's a perfect example of someone whose passion and drive led him to become one of the top surgeons in his profession in a very short period of time. His story, like the story of many of us immigrants like myself, who traveled to America to pursue their dream for a better life and greater future. Not to become rich, but to be able to live a happy and fulfilled life. He will share his definition of success and how he was able to reach his goals by following his passion. From starting out as a 15-year-old immigrant to becoming a street musician backpacking through Spain and France, and then ultimately coming back to the US to pursue a career as a surgeon. Just like myself, his passion for facial plastic surgery started by being inspired by doctors who treat children with cleft lip and palate deformities, and his artistic nature and urge to reconstruct both function and the aesthetics of the face. I hope that you will enjoy our conversation and be inspired to pursue your own dreams and passion. Listen in. All right, welcome to the Dari Hammer podcast. Today we have one of my favorite guests. I've never met him in person, but I feel I know this guy since I was a little kid. And I tell you why. But before I tell you why, I want to introduce him. Dr. Masoud Saman. He's a facial plastic surgeon based out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and he's one of the probably already one of the most popular and one of the most sought-after rhinoplasty surgeons in the nation. And you know, the reason for that is simple. I can definitely feel him in that regard. His passion for excellence and his passion for his field and his love for his patients and his love for what he does is evident in, you just have to follow his social media accounts and you will know what I'm talking about. And I'm very excited to have him as a guest because, again, like I said, I feel like I've known him forever just because we have so many things in common. It's kind of scary and funny at the same time. And I feel like he could be my twin brother. And I'm not saying that jokingly. I'm actually serious about that. And that's why I'm so excited to just be able to sit down with him for 1 hour and share his story with all of you, because he has a very interesting story, very inspiring story. It's a lot of parallelism to my own story. So I can't wait to pick his brain and see how he grew along his journey and what his future plans are. And just because he's literally just getting started already on top, but he's actually just getting started. So welcome, Dr. Masoud Saman. He's here with me from Dallas, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Daria, Dr. Hamra. What a pleasure. What an honor. And I love all the stuff you said because I was going to say those about you. This is true. We are twin brothers. You're just the better looking version.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I appreciate that.
I appreciate all the kind things you said. This is true that there are a lot of parallels. Well, I'm very excited to dive right in and explore them with you. Thanks for having me on this show.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm so excited. And I know you're super busy. I'm super busy, but you know what? You got to make time for stuff. You know, anything you're passionate about, you have to make time. And I'm really grateful that you made time in your busy life. You know, for all of you that don't know him, he besides being a surgeon, entrepreneur, businessman, he's also a father of 3 beautiful young girls. And he's sitting here on Saturday afternoon and spending his time chatting with us. So thank you so much. And that speaks for how passionate he is about what he does. And I'm so grateful that he's going to share it with all of you, because whenever people like Masoud share their story with us, not only we can relate to a lot of things, but we can also learn from the struggles and successes, how his journey evolved and how he grew from his struggles into a great success and how he's just getting started. So just listen and you might actually pick one or two nuggets for your own lives and careers that might really change the trajectory of your entire life. And that's how it's been
Oh
for me.
God, no
That's why
pressure.
that's why now I'm serious. You know, I love following you on social media. It's just so inspiring. You know, there's two ways to look at peers and colleagues. One way is envy and jealousy, and the other way is inspiration. You truly inspire me and so many others, and just reinforce a lot of the things that I'm doing by what you're doing, and that's why I love just following your career in life. But let's dive right in. So first of all,
Right
I
back
want
at
to
you. Before you move on, right
yes,
back at you.
sure,
Right back
sure.
at you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I
Yeah, of
appreciate it,
course.
brother. So let me tell you first of all a little bit about him, and then I'll let you, Masoud, kind of like tell your journey. But I want to explain why I feel like you're a brother from another mother. So we both are Persian descent. My mother's side is Azeri Persian; they're Turkish. And my great father and great grandfather were actually from Azerbaijan, from the Baku area, and then actually fought for the independence of Iran back in the days. So we both have Turkish descent. You lived in Europe, as a matter of fact. Now, I'll let you tell your story in Europe, how you got to Europe and how you got to America. I myself grew up in
Yeah.
Germany. You spent lots of time in Spain, sometime in France as well. You
Yeah.
have three children. That's the commonality and uncommonality, because you have three girls, I have three boys. I don't know what's going to happen there. You have
That'd be great.
yeah,
Maybe we'll move to
yeah,
Virginia.
right. And here's the thing that and I didn't realize it until I read a little bit more about you. I did you know, I always do research about my guests because I want to get to know them so I can bring the audience the greatest value and kind of dive into things that people can learn from. You have the passion both for science and art, and that's and I read a little bit about your bio, and you were kind of conflicted and tried to combine both, and which you beautifully are doing. And I had the same exact path and same exact story. As a matter of fact, I double majored in art, photography, and science because I was just unsure, but just an inspiration led me to become who I am now, which kind of similar to you. Our both of our inspirations started with cleft lip and palate, and I want you to walk us through that journey a little bit, how that inspired you. It's a very interesting story. And for me, it was also a pivotal moment. I always wanted to become an eye doctor, and then that trajectory changed once I saw a baby with cleft lip.
Yeah.
And we both started a nonprofit organization about cleft lip. There's nothing. And you also have a beard. I have a beard, and so I don't know if that you might want to dig into the uncommonalities because it's
Yeah.
kind of strange. And you also
It's
did
interesting.
a fellowship at Harvard. I did the same thing, and
It's amazing.
on and on. The only difference we have, you went the path of ENT head and neck surgery to facial plastic surgery, and I went the path
Hmm.
of oral maxillofacial surgery to facial plastic surgery. So
It's amazing.
it's just and it's like a circle,
Yes. I love it.
and so let me ask you to start off this conversation with this question: if you were to do anything different, if you had the choice today to go back to anything different, what would that be and why?
Um, if I had the choice, first of all, if I had the choice to not go back, I would not change anything. But if I had the choice and I was given the necessity to absolutely change an outcome, I would probably either go to photography school or go to a culinary school.
Not too
Both.
late.
No, I'd like to follow those passions through once I once the girls are a little older and I'm needed a little less at home.
Oh my God, that's scary. You said culinary school? So
Yes,
you
I
have a
love it.
passion for cooking?
Oh my gosh,
Oh, so
absolutely.
that's another thing. So that becomes scary now. We have to dig into our family tree. Let's see what happened
I
there.
know. I
Uh,
I I, I know. We got to look into that.
I'm
It's
not
becoming
joking.
scary.
I'm not joking. So let me ask you a question. When you were a child, let's just for context, it's always good to know um, about the childhood, how you grew up, where you grew up, for
Yeah,
people that are listening to this story, because context really matters in our lives.
it
As
does.
for me, I could tell you one of the reasons, one of my drives, and I want to know what your drive is,
Yeah,
was I always had a chip on my shoulder. I was always the underdog. I was always told you can't do this, you can't do that, and the only person that really believed in me was my parents, and that gave me this amazing strength to overcome everything. As someone that, even though I was born and raised in Germany, I was never accepted as a German. It's very difficult to assimilate in a country like Germany. Just not just because I look different, just because you're viewed differently. It's changing now, but we're talking about 40 years ago. Um, so, what's your story? What is your drive? What's the source of your passion? What's the source of your motivation? Like, what's your why? Tell us a little bit about
I love
and
that.
take us back to your childhood.
No, I love it. No, absolutely. So this is very interesting because just last week or 10 days ago or so, I woke up and I had a message on my Facebook, which I never check. I check and it's this name that is vaguely familiar. And there was a WhatsApp link that I clicked on, and there were 49 persons on there whose names were all familiar. And I start to read these messages to catch up. And this is from my 6th grade. And one of them had tracked all of us down. And over the past 10 days, they've been sending photos of us in classroom, of our teachers, all this stuff from back then. And initially, the first 2, 3 days, I couldn't remember a thing. And then your mind, like a puzzle, puts it all
Mhm.
together. And now it's coming together. And the new people that join, I'm telling them, oh, yeah, I remember you from then. And then it's very interesting. Yes, I have a very close connection with my past. I review it quite often,
Mhm.
actually. I think it helps me in many, many ways, especially in charting my future. So I was born in the city of Tehran, capital of
Mhm.
Iran, to a Azeri family on my mother's side. Just like you, they came about 200 years ago from the Baku area.
Mhm.
My grandfather in the early 1920s was actually one of the soldiers fighting the Bolsheviks. He actually has an M1858 gun that he took from them
Nice.
that we still have in one of these old Russian pieces.
Maybe our great grandfathers, they fought together. It could be.
This is
Yeah,
possible. This is a
I wouldn't be
possibility.
surprised.
Not a huge collection of them. So yes, it would be interesting to see. And so I grew up in Tehran to my obviously lovely parents and a brother who is 8 years older than me. He actually lives here in the Dallas area too with
Nice.
his two beautiful daughters. Yeah. So I grew up in, kind of the kid on the streets playing soccer, playing our version of dodgeball called Vassetti, and
Mm-hmm.
all of
Yep.
these things. This was my growing up until school years. And one of the things that was very much said to me, and I think it came from a background of regret from on my mother's side, was to take education very, very seriously. That it could take me places, that it could do things for me, even in the hardest of times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because when it comes from that background of poverty and regret,
Mm-hmm.
it has the ring of do it so it'll take you places, as opposed to a more modern and more privileged version of it, which is study so that you learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came from the study so that you can do something with your life background. And little by little, that became ingrained in my mind that studying is something that's very important. And I was convinced that I was absolutely going to become a lawyer. And
Why a
that
lawyer? Just
I
curious.
think I liked the suits. I think I liked kind of the
Isn't it
look.
funny how things in childhood kind of
Yeah,
intrigue us and take us to a path? And sometimes
it's
they change,
unreal.
but
It's
sometimes, yeah.
amazing. I
Mm-hmm.
see it in the kids now. I see it
Yep.
in my, we go do something and they notice something I completely missed. And that's the magic of life. I love living life
It
through them
is.
now.
Yep.
That was the story. That education became an important aspect until I was about 10 or 11 years old. At that time, I became fascinated with the idea of coming to America. I don't know how it started. I believe that it had its roots in the movies or conversations about opportunity that I had overheard and could not necessarily concretely and cerebrally analyze, but I could understand that basically they're saying opportunities over there.
So you were 11 when you came over?
No, I was 15 years old. It
15.
took a long time before we could actually, it was harder back then to just hop on the plane. It was a whole process. So it took a good 3-4 years to make that happen, and a lot of resistance from my family. You can imagine, I'm asking to be allowed to move to America at that age alone. They couldn't come at the time, and so finally I was able to secure that permission. And at the age of 15, I moved here. I got on a plane
all by yourself?
All by myself.
Wow, that takes guts. I mean,
yeah, it does now in retrospect. At the time, it didn't, because I just didn't know that it was going to be hard. So when I came here, I came to Dallas because my uncle lives here, and I was with him for a little bit of time, but not that long of a time. And I remember going to school and registering to have my courses validated or convalidated to get credit, and I couldn't understand a thing the lady was telling me. And I remember that one of the courses that we had taken was a course on economic, like microeconomy. Okay. And in this course of microeconomy, well, money was the topic. So I was trying to hand gesture that we were talking about money and this and that. And I got a PE credit because I was hand gesturing too much. And later I noticed that she gave me a PE credit, physical education. So this is how I got my credits when I first moved here. It's mind-boggling. And essentially, I basically started working 2 jobs, Wendy's and then a local grocery store as a sacker.
That's amazing.
And any extra time that I had, I was trying to learn English. I had taken some, courses, but very basic. And that was it. Annotating in my little book, the courses we were learning in school and stuff like that.
Did they have the spicy chicken at Wendy's back then?
I just remember the quarter double cheeseburger. That was everybody's on a Kaiser bun.
So let me ask you a question. So you came to the US at age 15, right?
Yeah.
And so, and your main drive and just inspiration was the fact that education could take you anywhere you want. You truly must have believed that, right? And so tell me
I don't
a little
know
bit.
what I believe, Daria. That's I don't give my 15-year-old self that much credit to have necessarily analyzed it into those eloquent of words. I'm not sure what it was. We were under a lot of pressure in Iran at the time. School was all a dictatorship experience. It was almost an experience of being in prison, an all-boys prison where you followed certain rules or you would get a beating. Corporal punishment was alive and well. You were crushed, your dreams were crushed. You would look at the older people ahead of you, half a generation ahead of you, 10 years or so ahead of you, and they were struggling. Even though they were educated or what have you, they couldn't make it. There's a lot, and I hope somebody in our generation makes a movie about all that went down back then, right past the revolution. Because a lot went down. And I remember growing up knowing that no matter what I did, nothing would change. Very hopeless, a very hopeless feeling, which is now little by little changing. I see that in the Iranian youth. So I left hopelessness. Therefore, I figured the antithesis of hopelessness is probably hope. And I came here with that, just pure hope. And I didn't have it down to whether it's education or arts or what's going to take me forward. Interestingly, the same person, my mom, who pushed me into the educational route, is an artist. She's a painter and a very good painter too. And
so is mine, by the way. That's crazy.
That is amazing. It's starting to get crazy. But yeah, so I came here and started working, and didn't exactly know what I wanted to do. I had all sorts of jobs. I worked construction with a jackhammer, as I'm short. So, or grounded, let's say. And so the jackhammer up to my face, I mean, all sorts of stuff. And it's taught
Wow.
me so much,
Yeah.
Daria. It's taught me a lot of things about how to deal with people and how to deal with
Yeah,
situations.
there's two things that come to my mind, which is like a common denominator of for many people as successful as yourself is number one is adversity. So from your story, it's clear that you grew up with a lot of adversity, and adversity, believe it or not, is one of the greatest forces and drivers for someone not having or fearing failure and just taking things head on and just doing it because you have no choice. It's almost like adversity doesn't give you a plan B. You only have one plan. You have only plan A. So failure is never an option.
Yeah.
You're almost forced to succeed if you have a goal. And that goal comes with some sort of inspiration at some point in your life by anyone. Could be your mother, could be your father, could be a friend, could be a random person you meet on the street or in a restaurant at the bar. It doesn't matter. So there's something that has to set a spark into this fire that just makes you never look back and just go forward and
just go
and not listen to any naysayers and just do it. And so the common denominator on all successful people is really they grew up with some sort of adversity. That's honestly why I'm worried about our children's generation, because I mean, what adversity do they really have? I mean, they have everything, and it's like what's going to be their motivation? And I think for them, and I want to listen to your take on it. You know, I think for them, inspiration is going to have a bigger role than adversity in their lives. So we have to seek to inspire them as much as we can.
Yeah, there's so much truth to what you're saying. It reminds me of this one time that we at the time had the two girls, and we went to we were going to a vacation. I think we were in Belgium, and we were inside of a hotel, and we had forgotten all their toys, and we had nothing, and it was cold. And my wife said, hey, go grab them something so they can play, so they can be occupied, paper or something so they can draw on. And it was super cold, so I said, you know, I'll go in a minute. And then I found them 10 minutes later with the little pad and the hotel pens. They were sitting there quietly drawing, something we'd never seen with the hundreds of toys that they have in our Dallas home. Well, we learned something. We said, listen, the more you have, the more you're gonna not appreciate what you have. When I first moved here, this is one of those grandpa stories. I wanted to get some shampoo. So I go to the grocery store and I say, where's the shampoo? And the guy said, aisle 11. So I go in there, and there's now shampoo for dry hair with vitamin A. And then next to it, vitamin E. And then shampoo for medium hair with a little dry tip. And then on the side, maybe on Wednesdays, this other shampoo. And then this other shampoo. And I was so confused.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, first I scoffed at this, and now I find myself going and I know exactly specifically what I want. Whereas growing up, we had the one, it looked like egg yolks, and
that was it.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And it works. And you know, so sometimes maybe too many options is not necessarily the way to go. It creates a lot of confusion. It's funny because my path to medicine was kind of a roundabout one. Year 2000, this website had just come out by the name of Priceline. You probably remember it. Where you
yes,
could
of
bid
course.
on a travel fair. So randomly I went and put a bid for $300. I got accepted to go to France. Well, mom and dad were in Iran, so I thought, well, that's closer to Iran anyway, and might as well go experience France. I had $300, $400 that I had saved up.
How old were you?
Well, it was 2000, so I was 19, almost 20.
Gotcha.
And so I took the $300 that I had. I got on this plane and went to Atlanta. Went to have Chinese food in the Atlanta airport. I lost my wallet. Luckily, I had my passport, and then I went to France.
Oh my God!
I arrived in France with no money, and that when you're 18, that's just perfect. It's just now I couldn't imagine it, but at that time you're like, well, we'll figure it out. The hostel was prepaid, So when I arrived, there was me, an Irish guy up above me. On the other side, on the bunk bed, there was an Algerian guy and a German guy, Ruben, at the bottom. And we barely could communicate, but a beer or two, and everyone was a musician. And so
Oh,
we decided we're going to play music. And that's what we did for months on the streets of
wow.
Paris by metro stations. Imagine every 20 minutes, 100 people get out of the
Yes,
train.
I know.
Maybe one of them or two of them will give you two,
Yeah.
€3. And then at the end of
Yeah.
the hour, you have €60 for the four of us. At the time, it was great. So we did this, and then we could afford our wine, and we could afford our,
Yeah.
canned food. And that was it. And a lot of amazing experiences. When I returned to the US, I found a job at a hospital, and there was no intention of me working ever in the medical field. I didn't really necessarily, no offense to any of our colleagues, like just the overall aura of a doctor. I thought they were a
Mm-hmm.
little stuffy and a little
Mm-hmm.
maybe on the harsh
Mm-hmm.
or arrogant
Mm-hmm.
side. And I didn't want that. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want that to be a part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and got this job, and I started working at this place and became the unit secretary. And I worked there and interacted with some doctors. And it's funny, 20 years later, I came back as the chief of head and neck in that same hospital.
That's
20,
insane. That's
yeah,
insane. So what
it's
were you
amazing.
doing? What were you doing during that time? Were you in college? Did you take a sabbatical? Like, tell me, because we have a lot of young
Yeah,
audience listening to this, and they
yeah,
might
yeah,
be at
I
a
did. I
certain
took a
stage.
sabbatical. I Yeah, yeah. So, it was not the wisest academic plan,
Well,
but it
well,
worked out.
wait a second. I disagree with you, and let me tell you why. To me, I think we're putting college. Back then when we grew up, right, it was all about education. Like if you didn't have education, you didn't have anything, right? Because
Yeah,
our society was geared towards education. Without education,
yeah,
you were nobody. That's why everybody's dream was as soon as they get out of high school to have a college degree. It didn't matter what kind of college degree. If you didn't have a college degree, you would be frowned upon.
yeah.
I believe today it's a little different. And let me tell you why. I think today our education system is way outdated. I feel like it doesn't necessarily, and specific to college, to undergrad, I think
Mhm.
it doesn't really prepare our young adults for life at all. And a lot of the stuff that they teach is really outdated. And with the advent of the internet, the information is ubiquitous. You can obtain any type of information. It's at the palm of your hand. So
Yeah, the conversations have changed.
yeah, so
You
the
know,
resources we have is completely different. Back then, it
yeah,
was either the library or you had to go to college. A professor had to teach you. Today, you can learn anything you want. Now,
yeah,
granted, not everybody's self-motivated. So yeah, if you're not self-motivated, you have to sit in a class and learn, take notes, and pass the exam and get a degree, and then you learn a little bit, and then you can have a certificate and then do something with it, get a
yeah.
job, and da da da.
Opens the door.
Opens the door, exactly. Does not guarantee success.
Right.
Back in the days it would, but today it doesn't. So
hmm
I feel like today it would be wrong to put education in terms of college on a pedestal to a degree, uh, not minimizing its significance, but not as it used to be. So
hmm
I read a
Yeah, I
study. It
agree with
said
you.
that
Yeah.
um, I read a study about the value of college degree today, that 80% of the population, they do not make money with their college degree or what they learned in college. 80%. That's
Wow.
significant. So you might have, I don't know, gotten a bachelor of science and biology or electrical
Yeah.
engineering. Right now, that's not how you're making
hmm
money.
hmm
You might be like I don't know, lawyer or entrepreneur, have a store, I don't know, have a
Yeah.
business,
Totally different field.
without a business degree, completely 80%. That's pretty significant. In
hmm
the 60s, 70s, 80s, it didn't used to be that way, or in the
Yeah.
90s. I think that's something that's changed in the past 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think you're absolutely right on. And there's a lot of variables too there, but
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So now, if you want to go into medicine,
hmm
law, or engineering, you have to. There's no doubt. Like,
hmm
you have to do that. But anything else is a little different story.
Yeah.
So, to me, listening at your story, I think you probably might be underestimating the value of that sabbatical year, the significance of how it's affected your life and your person
Oh, Daria,
subconsciously
you are so right.
and
It is the
subconsciously.
best.
And it, to me, that's the
Hmm.
pivotal moment. And that's why who you are. And I'm just getting goosebumps now. It's talking about it because I totally know. I'm so convinced. And that's why I tell many people, and I told my own kids, that when they graduate high school, and if they don't necessarily know what they're going to do with their lives, what kind of profession they're going to choose, what they want to be, that it's okay. I will be the last person that would force them to college. And I would rather, instead of spending that money for their college, I would tell them, go pick a spot on this planet, spend in many different countries or one country, it doesn't matter, wherever you want, for 1 year. I'll pay for your food, I'll pay for your hotel, not really like just a little bit, because I want them to learn through struggle and adversity, to learn to gain that experience, to understand, to be able to value that.
Yeah.
Kind of like you did. I think your experience is pretty significant. That's why you're appreciating and valuing life as you are. And I want to dig into that also a little bit. I think that's a pivotal thing, and it will set you up for success, because there is not a challenge that comes after that that you won't be able to handle or won't be able to figure out. It just teaches you life skills, problem solving skills that no college university can ever prepare you for. So I want to know from you, now looking back, how do you feel that year has affected you and changed you as a person, how you grew from it, and how you use the lessons from that time today?
First of all, I agree with everything you just said about the difference between academics and education. Yes, I agree that academics don't give you all life education that you need. A lot of life education happens in moments of adversity. A lot of life education happens in family, in travel, in just overall life experience. In terms of how that affected me and how it changed me, well, listen, it comes down to this penchant um, for challenges. I feel that what drove me to go there, even though it sounds like an accidental event on Priceline, it was my desire to go and find another society where I could learn, find another door open to me, find another group of people with commonalities and differences to connect with. And that's my entire drive and need, is this connection. Connection now, it could be with nature, it could be with people. I want to be connected to this earth. And by that, I mean nothing that has to do with possessions. I don't care about what I have or what I don't have. And I come from a very modest background. I didn't have much growing up. And just until the end of fellowship, I didn't have much either. And so uh, it's not possessions. It's this earth, it's this wind, it's this conversation with you, it's the moments I have with my patients, it's the lives we change, Dr. Hamra, that affects me. That's why I all of this, I feel like rhinoplasty, facial aesthetic surgery, is this um, precipitant of all of the experiences I've had, that comes down to a collection of it all, where precision matters, where science matters, where art matters, where connection, the connection I just described, that spiritual human connection matters, where a sense of productivity and changing lives matter. This is all of it in a nutshell. So that year of sabbatical was a part of it. Of course, it taught me a lot, and I have a lot of cool stories that I will tell you off off air for the most part to chit chat. But
Love to hear those.
I don't want to absolutely, but I don't want to take anybody's time here. The point is to say, all of these experiences, from the immigration part to being an immigrant kid. My family on the Turkish side had an accent, and so I sometimes, and I'm ashamed of this now, but when I was 10 or 12, I just wanted to belong. I wanted to be one of the Tehrani kids. And so I would not bring them around when my grandma with a thick Azeri accent was around, just to make sure, because, there's these subtleties and the
Isn't
bullying
it,
and the making fun and
isn't
all
it
that stuff.
funny you grew up in your own country with adversity because society, unfortunately, human beings, as many kind and empathetic human beings exist, there's also the other side, the bullies and the people that are insecure, that have some emptiness in their lives. They have to feel, they have the urge to close that gap by making fun of others, and that's another
Yeah,
part of adversity you had to deal with even before you came to America, with
absolutely.
struggling in your own country. So for those of
Yeah,
you who are listening, anything you feel that you have a disadvantage today, if you ever feel that you're underprivileged, you're being treated unfairly, trust me, guys, this is something that will be your greatest asset, that will become the reason why you will succeed. So having hope and having faith is so important, and just trusting and believing in yourself is the most important thing. So thanks for sharing that.
no, yes, absolutely. I agree with you. Trusting in yourself is the most important thing, and don't expect to always trust yourself. There's times that you'll lose that trust in yourself, but you'll gain it back. And there's been times that I was down, and there's been times that I felt that I couldn't necessarily get certain things done. And then the universe puts in front of you examples, signs, or persons who will sit in front of you and tell you a story, incredible story that blows your mind, and somehow you get shifted into the
Yeah.
path that there is a really nice, gosh, I want to say it's Bob Dylan, but I'm not sure. There's a really nice lyric, and I'll paraphrase. It says, "Everything will be okay or fine in the end, and if it's not okay, then that it means it's not the end." Um,
That's beautiful.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, you just gotta chug along. This is life. Without getting too philosophical, life
No.
is all a game, right? I mean, we got to go from the point
Yeah.
of birth
Yeah.
to the point of death, and
Yeah.
then let's make everything in the middle meaningful so we're not bored.
Yeah.
And that's it. So
That's so true. I listened to, I don't know if you know Simon Sinek. He's one of the great philosophers of our time. I was listening to his podcast, and he was saying, he said he looks at life as an infinite game. So there is no beginning, there is no middle, there is no end, there is no winning or losing. And it's pretty significant, his idea about that, because it really gives you perspective with anything that happens in our lives, in the past and present and in the future. He said life is an infinite game, meaning you
amazing.
don't play to win something. You have setbacks. So there is days that you're behind. There is successes, means there's going to be days that you're ahead. So sometimes you're behind,
Right.
sometimes you're ahead, but it's an infinite game, meaning there is no
Right. It's not
end.
90 minutes with 5 minutes of extra time.
Exactly. And looking at life that way, I think eliminates a lot of fears that we have, a lot of how to deal with disappointment or events that are tragic. It really, I think perspective really matters when we try to give meaning to anything that happens, whether something great or something terrible that happens. So that's something I personally apply in my personal life. And since I've been doing that, I mean, it's almost like nothing can shake me. Maybe in the moment, like you could get upset, angry, sad, but then you grow out of it quickly. You don't, it doesn't crush you. And that's so important. But tell me a little bit about what happened. So when you got out, how long did you stay in Paris for?
Oh, multiple stages, but in the initial stage, about 7 months.
7 months.
Seven
And
months.
then you went
Yeah.
back to the US.
No, I went to Spain.
You went to Spain.
I
So
went
from
to
Paris,
Spain.
you went straight to Spain.
Uh, Almost. We went to the train station. We
Hmm.
said, what is the
when you said we, who was
Me
that? Your
and the
friends?
group, the
I
the
see.
the Moroccan, the Algerian, and the German, and the
Are
Irish
you
are
are
the
you still
best.
in touch with them, by the way? Just curious.
Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm not
Interesting.
because we didn't share a language,
Mm.
so I couldn't. I don't know
Just
much
sign
about how to
language. Human
exactly.
beings don't need to speak the same language. I mean, just
At that age, you don't.
yeah, you
At
don't.
that age, you don't,
Interesting.
and we're just simpler.
So you went to Spain.
Um, well, yeah, went to Spain because that was the cheapest ticket available at the train station. It could have been Norway, but
Interesting.
yes, that day it was Spain, and so we went to Spain, and we ended up in the south of Spain, Sevilla, and that was my introduction to Spain, and a country I grew to love.
Beautiful city, by the way. I was
Uh,
just there a couple of years
Absolutely,
ago. Beautiful.
yes, lovely, lovely.
Yeah.
And so I later went back and spent extended period of time in Sevilla as a guitar apprentice to learn flamenco guitar, and also to spend time with my good friend Dr. Pablo Cariñanos, who's a otolaryngologist and a great rhinoplasty surgeon over there.
Mhm.
And so it was wonderful. That was another lovely experience. Then I came back to the U.S. And now I was in this gig of discovering the world. And fourth year of medical school as a sub-I went to Cuba
Well, wait.
to
Well,
work.
wait. Well, wait. Wait, you skipped a complete part of your life. So I want to know when you came back from Europe.
Oh, okay. Let's go back there. Okay.
So you didn't like doctors. You didn't weren't intrigued really by the medical world and society. So yeah, now you had
Right.
gained all that perspective. You viewed now the world from a complete different perspective. Coming back to America, I want to know how that had changed you, if anything, at all, and then how the hell you got into medicine all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, I had encounters at the time. Well, this is the time also that I met my now wife, then girlfriend, Paria,
Mm-hmm.
who's a pediatric dentist,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason she went into that was also that cleft thing, but we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, she was a college student just like myself, and we used to go to this hookah place that I liked a lot down the street, and we would discuss life and philosophy, and all the things you're so enamored with at the age of
Mm-hmm.
20, that are just fascinating to just discover
Mm-hmm.
the humanities
And
and the human,
yourself and
and
yourself.
yeah, yourself through it all. Yes, in the end, to learn which mask it is that fits your face the
Mm-hmm.
best. And so the conversations were, well, you don't have to be like that. You don't have to be stuffy like the rest of the doctors. If you like medicine, you should study medicine. You should do what you like. Yeah, that's interesting thought. And then there was another doctor, by the name of Luis Magnucci, who's a neurosurgeon. He would take me under his wing, take me to the operating room, show me stuff, and always very encouraging. And and he was a big influence in why I decided to pursue medicine. I studied an interesting combination of majors. I studied philosophy, photography, and neuroscience. And and the neuroscience came in, and neuroscience was kind of a science way of me really wanting to learn about how the human brain works, not really about medicine. And that's where I discovered that I was good at sciences. And then it
Interesting.
became this loop of, is it that I like sciences, or is it that I'm good at it, that I like it, and whatever? So it didn't matter. And then I started to explore the field of medicine and became interested.
By the way,
Uh,
another funny parallel. I'm fascinated by neuroscience and how the human brain works. It's something that I've immersed myself in the past 5 years. Not when I was an undergrad; it was just like
yeah,
passing the exams
yeah,
about that. And today, I've immersed myself in that. I'm just fascinated with psychology and how the human brain works. Why we do what we do.
absolutely,
Why? So, just on the side note, but continue.
absolutely,
So
yeah,
then you got interested in medicine through
yeah.
your neuroscience
These experiences,
professor,
yeah.
and yeah, and then what happened
This
there?
this surgeon, the neuroscience courses, the conversations I had with my wife, and I decided that this is the right choice. And what's holding me back is this perception. And so I studied and
So, were you
went
in
to medical
medical
school.
school? When you were in medical school, did you know what kind of specialty you want to be in? Because I have a lot of, uh,
100%. I knew I
yeah.
was going to be a neurosurgeon. Yeah, for
Mm.
sure.
What happened?
Yeah.
I mean, the nose is not too far away from the brain, but is not
This
too
is true.
far of a distance. You know, a lot of
This is
times
true.
to gain
What
access to the
happened?
brain, you go through the nose. So I see parallels there. I still don't see the connection.
Well, the connection is that I saw the face.
Mm.
That's it. That's all I had to see. The anatomy of the face. When I
Yeah.
saw that complex anatomy, when I saw that everything from here has to go through here to get down,
Mm-hmm.
it all is right here.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I was enamored. That's when I decided that that was it.
And then
Um,
take us to that
this came
moment. Mm-hmm.
with the second. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. You first. I don't
Thank you.
want. Mm-hmm.
So the we were in a in the anatomy lab, and we were
Mm-hmm.
dissecting different things, and I was just looking at all these things in the face, nerves and vessels and stuff. That wasn't when I was dissecting the shoulder.
Yeah,
That wasn't
yeah,
the case. I mean,
yeah. I know.
I have
It's
a
kind
ton
of
of
boring.
respect for
Yeah.
my orthopedic
Yeah,
surgeons.
I know.
They do a lot of hard work, but it's not
Yeah.
what gets me. What gets me
Yeah.
is the detailed precision. What gets them is the movement and the muscle
Yeah.
and all of that. So we all have different likes, and that's what got
Mm.
me into the face. That just boggled my mind. If I could the little neurons and circuits, and if I could actually visualize them in the brain, maybe I would have gone into brain surgery, but I couldn't. I just saw this gelatinous mass with a lot of stories about it. So I couldn't necessarily
Was
connect
too
with it.
abstract, and I think
Yeah,
that's your artistic brain, and that
yeah,
wants to see things. It's more visual than just
absolutely.
imaginary, and I can totally relate to that. That's
Yeah.
personally why I got fascinated, and so I can
So
totally
then the
relate to
cleft
that.
story happened.
Hmm.
This
Yeah.
the
So tell us, you
cleft
were in a
story.
restaurant, and what happened? Walk us through that moment,
The
because that was a pivotal moment.
It was a pivotal moment. I was in at a restaurant, at a Syrian restaurant with my wife, and the waiter came, and he was 19, 20 years old, something like this, young man with a cleft, unrepaired cleft.
Oh wow.
I had never seen an unrepaired cleft in an older person before. And I said, I am so sorry. I know this is extremely impolite, but can you tell me what's happened there? And he said, oh yes, of course. So I was born with a cleft lip and a cleft palate, and it was not repaired because we couldn't afford it at the time. I was shunned in Syria. Whenever we had guests, they would hide me in the room so the guests wouldn't see them. This was viewed, as you know, in different cultures, this is also viewed
Yeah.
as repay for maternal guilt. All sorts of
Yeah.
sexist and cultural and negative stigmas associated with this affliction. And so and he told me a little bit about it, and that he no longer wants it fixed because now it's a part of his identity.
Hmm.
And I got to know him a little bit outside of this. We continued to communicate. This is a restaurant right next to the med school, and I would see him every time I would go there to grab a sandwich. And I learned so much about this, the social aspects of this. It was very moving for me as a young medical student. So I decided that we have all these qualified surgeons. We had amazing maxillofacial surgeons at my medical school, amazing plastic surgeons, craniofacial surgeons, ENT surgeons, who could all contribute to
Yeah.
our society, and we could raise awareness, raise some money, and go get this thing done. And we did about 7 trips. The first 3 were highly unsuccessful because we just couldn't get it organized well. And then finally we figured it out that there was a lot of organization that got, you're the
Yep.
master of
Yep.
this with Alegria. And
Mm-hmm.
so we did our thing, and it was fantastic. And reconstruction is why Daria, I went into this field, and I did years of reconstruction. As you know, rhinoplasty is something that I focus on now almost exclusively, but my training was in head and neck oncology and skull-based surgery, that whole nose into the brain thing, and microvascular surgery. So, as I was by name, I still continue to be the chief of facial trauma at our local hospital. It's a level 1 hospital doing facial trauma, reconstruction, ballistic injuries to the face. That was that. Why? And the reason for that was always this background of recon, bringing back to normal. And finally, like you, I am sure, even though you've never said this to me because of your background and your training background, you see these trauma reconstructions, you see all this, and you're like, there's got to be there's got to be a more aesthetic way of doing this. There's got to be more finesse to this.
That's, by the way, how I got into cosmetic surgery, by the way. You hit the nail on the head.
I can imagine.
because just like you, my residency was heavily, I trained in Miami, and our residency was heavily based on trauma and tumor and reconstructive surgery. And it was so heavily
Wow.
emphasized on that we actually had fellowship trainings for that. And then after all my training, I'm like, so I'm going to go to private practice and do what with all this training? And I had this urge, and to the same question you asked is, I'm like, there must be a better way to do this. There must be a better way to reconstruct this. There must be a better way to, because patients would ask after the reconstructions, at their 6 months, 1 year follow-up, they would ask, can you improve this? Can we improve that? And we would kind of like dismiss it as, well, that's just cosmetic correction and insurance doesn't cover it and blah, blah, kind of like dismiss it. And I saw the sadness and the disappointment in the patient's eyes. And I
Yeah,
was a
that's very
resident.
true.
I was just following orders, but I would go home and think like, man, like, why can't we do something for that? There must be a way. So that was kind of the spark for me. And then this fellowship offered itself to me, and I hadn't even planned it. And when I got into it, I was like, oh my God, this is actually technically much easier than what I used to do. It's like almost like the beginning and the end is like the surgical approach and closure. I mean, everything in between what we do in reconstruction, we don't even have to do. We just really take my skills to change someone's life, even to the next level, take it to the next level, to change it even further. So we're not saving lives anymore necessarily, but we're changing lives. And that was what intrigued me. And full circle back for me, the way I got into maxillofacial surgery, and I always wanted to become an ophthalmologist. That pivotal moment for me, just like in a restaurant, you saw this 19-year-old waiter with a cleft lip. In my first clinical lecture, I was sitting in the lecture hall in Germany, and the first lecture was about cleft lip and palate. And I'm like, what the heck is cleft lip and palate? The professor comes and he puts up his, those carousels, old school carousels. He puts his
Yeah.
carousel on there. And I'm like, holy cow, that's like 200 slides. He puts the first slide on. It was an infant with a huge cleft lip, okay? A unilateral cleft lip. And I looked
Wow.
at it. I was like, oh my God. I was shocked. I was like a little disturbed because I'd never seen that. And at first I'm like, is that like an injury? Is that like a dog bite or something? Is that like
Hmm.
trauma? But there was no sign of trauma. So I was very disturbed. And so he's like, this is a cleft lip. And this child was born like this. And as soon as he said that, I literally choked up. I'm like, why would God be so cruel and bring a child to this world like this? So I really got deep into the emotional aspect. It really hit me emotionally. And as I was trying to gather my emotions and thoughts, like, what the hell happened? Like, why does this happen? Like, whose fault is it? You immediately, like you said, you try to look for whose fault is it? What happened? Um,
Yeah.
and I was thinking of the poor parents. Now, I was like in my 20s, I was not a parent, but the first thing I'm like, oh my God, that must have been terrible for the parents. I mean, the baby doesn't know. So he shows the after picture, and you could barely see
Magic.
anything. And it was like magic. And I'm like, so I remember I looked at the slide, I looked at my professor, I looked at the slide, and I thought I saw God. I'm like, he can do this. Like, this is possible. Like, this guy can change. He just gave, it was more than saving someone's life, because when you're dead you don't know what, you're gone, right? But when you're alive living with a disability, you will be bullied, society won't accept you,
Yeah.
you grow up basically having to hide for the rest of your life. I mean, people don't understand. I know more about these things now, treating these children through our foundation and speaking to the families, listening to their struggles, which none of us can fathom. I mean, we have people in our world that complain about a cold coffee, or about not the French fries not coming with their food. And there is people there with complete different life stories. So that was for me intriguing. And I said, I want to do what he does. So that changes the
Brilliant.
trajectory. Interestingly, fast forward, after all my training and residency, I never really got to get involved with it. We had like a rotation in Mexico for a month. We did some cleft lip, but how it is. You go there and you pretty much hold sticks and watch.
Hmm.
And then you think, oh my God, this is really complicated. Like, I don't know what the hell he's doing.
Hmm.
putting like Humpty Dumpty back together is like crazy.
Yeah.
And here in our world here, we don't have that type of demand or the numbers to do that, because as you know, like being a rhinoplasty expert, you have to do hundreds of them to become really good. And so it never happens until I got this random phone call from an old chief resident of mine 13 years later. Hey, you want to come to a mission trip? Until he said, I asked him, what's the name of the foundation? He says, well, here's the thing. I thought, we could maybe start one. So I don't want to, yeah. So that's how everything started. And
Love it.
I'm not just going to hope, I'm going to request actually that you come with us to one of our mission trips. And hopefully,
Wow.
even if you can fit it in your life and schedule, no pressure, that you can, become part of us, because we're really trying to expand. I have so many connections now in South America, and we're trying to expand in Ecuador, in El Salvador. We talked to the president of El Salvador, and we have the green light. Just happened before the pandemic hit, so that delayed us. In
Wonderful.
Colombia, we already have everything set, and so I have a beautiful patient. She has a lot of influence in Ecuador. She just told me last week that that her father is there, and she said, "Just bring your team. We have everything set up for you." So I have all these amazing, beautiful people that want to think likewise.
That's wonderful.
But not to talk too much about myself.
What a great initiative. Big applause for that. That's not easy. You're a busy man with uh, gosh, big family, and your surgical practice and entrepreneurship and following your passions internationally. That is
because it's about purpose. I read your bio, and I know that, like you said, you know yourself how important purpose is in life. We all do these things. I'm passionate about cosmetic surgery, especially rhinoplasty, but the purpose is it's a bigger calling. We make. I mean, you see when we do a rhinoplasty reveal, you see the moment. It never gets old.
beautiful. No,
It's you see this joy in the patient's eyes. They were hoping for years. They looked at us as a messiah to change your life, which is kind of, sometimes it's very humbling. But the emotion for that particular patient, based on what's going on in their lives, is not any different than changing doing a cleft lip or palate surgery. The psychology about the patient emotions is exactly the same. So it's just at a different arena.
I think that, just as you mentioned, both of us coming from a reconstructive background, where we've done these big surgeries, saving lives and reconstructing true big defects. Now, in a cosmetic world, I think we bring a certain armamentarium in our arsenal of things that allows for creativity that necessarily we probably wouldn't have if we only had done a cosmetic training. We bring something else. We bring a view of the overall patient, from a perfusion standpoint to an aesthetic standpoint, to a reconstructive, God forbid, something we get into trouble, to be able to fix the situation because you've done those bigger things. I do think that aesthetic surgery is a lot more challenging and difficult, in the sense that, you're taking somebody who's already an 8 and you're expected to improve upon that. And it's very, very impactful. And now they're coming to you and saying, here's my money, make this awesome thing even better. There is another layer. There's a very finesse layer on top that you probably didn't necessarily explore when you have 2 hours to put somebody's ear back on, because if not, the ear is going to die because of the lack of we don't have that time to sit there and tweak things the way we do with these beautiful noses that you create, that you sit there and look, this 1 millimeter is just not, this is not what I want, and let's redo. You open and you go after that 1 millimeter that most people probably don't see. A lot of times you look at it and it's blowing your mind, and you're going to spend another hour doing. That is the next level in my book. I mean, that is, we do that reconstruction because, that is surgery and that is doctoring. And I feel like, and you probably feel very similar, if not the same, that we've paid our dues in the ICUs. A lot. And at this point, that experience allows us to probably be a cut
100%. I talk about it actually a lot. It has taught us resilience. It has taught us patience, and it has taught us failure is not an option. With those three values, I go every morning in the operating room, and my
Yeah.
patients sometimes ask me, "How long does the surgery take?" My answer is always the same. I'm like, I don't know. It's like asking, how long does it
Yeah.
take you to do this painting? I don't know. It's art. I mean, I don't leave the operating room until I feel it's perfect. I nailed it.
Yeah.
Because whatever revisions I'm supposed to do later, I'm going to do in the first surgery. And
Man,
that's
and you do
something,
every time.
that's,
And you nail it every time. I
that,
love your results.
and
Absolutely
I
love it.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. And right back at you because, you can't deny that when it comes to rhinoplasty, yes, it is science, but it is art. It's like sculpting. You're sculpting. The tools happen not to be clay or wood. It happens to be cartilage, soft tissue, collagen,
Of
skin,
course.
and bone, and you gotta sculpt it to the point that it's perfect. You can't ask a sculptor how long does it take to sculpt
Yeah.
this statue. He's not going to be able to answer you. He's just like, leave me alone. Like you're annoying. I don't know. It could be days. It could be. I could nail it after 2 hours. I don't know that. The other day I
Yeah.
did a rhinoplasty. I thought that's going to be a tough one. And after an hour and a half, I'm like, oh my God, look perfect. And my assistant
Amazing.
said, don't touch it. Don't touch it anymore. I'm like, and because she knows
Yeah.
how I am, I'm like, wait, I want to make sure that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
from
Yeah.
this angle. And she's like, can you please
Absolutely.
stop looking at it? And then I said, you know what? The enemy of better is worse. I'm not going to touch it. But sometimes I'm there and something doesn't look like you do a maneuver and you're like, that was not the right maneuver because you know how it is in rhinoplasty. You change one thing, something else changes.
Yeah.
And I was in it for another hour and a half because, but you take that experience from your reconstructive surgery and you apply it there and you know how to fix it. You have to have a plan. So
Yeah.
it could be very
Absolutely.
intimidating. It's very
Yeah.
humbling. But
Right.
resilience and determination is something that for me is what we learned,
Sure.
in our training. But Saman, tell me, what are you doing now? I want to know what you're doing now. You're doing a lot of interesting stuff now. You just recently went to Colombia and you
Yeah.
came back. You gave us a little hint. What's going on with
Well,
cinema
yeah.
plastic surgery? And you're in the process of rebranding. And tell me what's
Yeah.
a lot of exciting things. So I love that
A lot of
entrepreneurial stuff that you're doing. Tell me.
a lot of interesting things are happening. So two fronts. Two fronts. One is that with one of my good friends and colleagues, Dr. Franklin Madrid in Colombia, we are in the process of establishing a little something in Dubai, so that we can take care of both face aesthetics and corporal aesthetics. He is a superstar in the world of body contouring, and he already has privileges in Dubai, and he travels there from time to time. And I decided to create some center of excellence where we would take care of the faces and he would take care of the bodies. So
Interesting.
that's one front. It's in development, and the second front is that I just selected a location. I'll be disclosing it soon in New York City. So I'll be having my second office in New York,
Nice.
and we start operating there in March. So March, the first week of March, I'll be there
Beautiful.
to start operating. We're booked for for those dates already. So those are the two fronts. They're concurrently moving together, moving forward, and it's kept me challenged and
So
excited.
maybe on your way from Dallas to New York, you can stop by DC and maybe we can hang, or on your way back if you have time to
I
spare. I
would
would
love
love.
that.
Yeah, that's exciting news. It's funny that you mentioned
Yeah,
Dubai because I was approached by some of the clinics there to go there. I'm currently in talks with two of them. I
yeah,
just haven't found the solution yet as far as how I'm going to divide my time because I'm in solo practice just like yourself. I have
yeah.
3 kids and all that stuff. I don't know how it's going to affect my personal life. So I'm still contemplating, but I might be picking your brain on that, how you're managing it.
Be happy to.
And
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We're just in talks and
yeah, I
in
know.
the explore phase. So
Yes,
yeah,
same here. Same here. So that's funny. That's another parallel.
that's right.
It
Yeah.
doesn't end. How do you feel social media has changed or affected your
Oh,
practice and your brand? And
this
how
is
do
my
you
favorite topic.
Yeah.
My favorite topic. Listen, I love the role of social media.
And
Listen,
why
I
is
know
that?
that
Because
it
so many
has
people
gone.
demonize it. Tell me.
Well, I mean, it is a demon too. It's a double-edged sword. I mean, look at what it's doing to the youth. Look at how it's people's values have become on about their selfies and social media. It is a double-edged sword. Obviously, look at Zuckerberg in the Senate and all the stuff that's going on with the teenagers. All the even our regular friends, we myself included, unfortunately, God, sometimes I do these things and I'm like, why am I doing this? Food comes out and I'm taking a picture of it. Eat your food. You know, I know better, but you know, it does its thing. But listen, for me, it's a different thing. It's a way. For me, it's an atelier. For me, it's an art gallery. I get to show my work. I get to share with people what I'm so passionate about, what I dream about, what I wake up thinking about, what I stare at people analyzing, what I sometimes what I think about all the time, what I study all the time, what I measure all the time. I get to share that. I
Yeah.
get to share my vision, my passion. Now, that's one aspect, okay, on a personal standpoint. From a career standpoint, it allows young talents to be discovered. Whereas before, you would go to a city,
Yeah.
you would go and
100%.
have to join academics, you would have to hide or be under the shadow of some well-known guy until they retire or until you kiss their ring and they say, yes, okay, fine, we'll include you in such and such
Yeah.
symposium so you can give a talk. Whereas before you would have to write sham academic papers just so you can post your pre and post-op before and after photos. Now you don't have to do that. You can just put a post and people have eyes and people are smart and they can decide if this is what they want. So you no longer have to, think about your 5-star Google review that became 4.5 because some angry person or some competitor left a negative message for you. Because now people are smarter and they can look at the photos
100%.
and make their own choices.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, it's a great platform to showcase your talent. It's so much easier for not just our patients, but also our colleagues and the entire world to discover whether you're a surgeon, whether you're an artist, whether you're a musician. Look, a lot of musicians now, they can just put their music on Spotify or anything. And if they get a lot of listens or views, they become instantly famous. They don't need to find a producer and then hopefully they will accept them, kind of like you said in the medical world. You don't have to kiss anybody's ring or work under the shadow of someone for 20 years and then maybe he will allow you. There is no such thing. I think it's become so much easier to become who you are, to get credit for what you do and who you are. And I think everybody benefits from it. And also the patients. I mean, I look at it as a great platform to educate patients, so we don't have to deal with all these botch stuff. We can educate them, and even someone in Korea that we will probably never see or is never going to be our patient, but we can protect that person to go somewhere and having something done that is not good. It's simply not good because as many great people there's also a few unethical
Yeah.
stuff that's going on even in our country, and it kind of is mind-boggling to me sometimes. And I think
Yeah.
social media is a tool. Social media
Yeah.
is a platform. And to those who demonize it, it just, my opinion is it just exposes good and bad people. So
Yeah,
it
that's
exposes who you
cool.
are as a person. So, and that's how I see it. It's like a tool. It's like the internet. It's like TV. It's like anything else.
This is it. You can use it in the right way or the wrong way. I'll tell you, I've written a lot of academic papers, a lot, and I was very active in that academic world. Still, our fellows help when we write stuff, and the amount of work I put into social media is more than I put into any of these journals and papers. I'll tell you, it is not easy because the reality is that we work a lot, and during these long hours of work, to be mindful of capturing these moments, it requires a part of your brain to turn into an alarm to tell you you need to capture this moment. You need to capture it.
Yeah.
And why do we need to capture this moment? It's funny because all of our colleagues have different moments that they decide they need to be catching, and it reveals something about you. It reveals something about you as a person. This is why a lot of people ask me, are you going to have a company run your social media? Never.
Yeah.
I never.
It's impossible. I get the same question. It's impossible.
Don't want it. I
It's
want to
like it's
do
like you're
me.
an
It's my
artist, and
reality.
it's like you're an artist. It's like it's like Picasso hires a company to paint his pictures for him. Like, what are you talking about? It's you. It represents who you
Beautiful.
are, and that's what I love about your social media. For those of you who want to follow Dr. Saman, is at Dallas Face Doc, Dr. Masoud Saman, and on Instagram. It really, that's why I feel I really know you, and even though we've never met in person, and we've even spoken, lectured on a symposium together, even though it was virtual. That's why we didn't meet in person. And by the way, thank you for accepting my invitation last year at the
Thank you for.
AACS meeting. And I feel I really know you because you really get to show people who you are, and it comes through if you're the one doing it as opposed to someone else doing it for you. And I 100% agree with you.
I think that's absolutely right. I mean, that's exactly what it comes down to. Listen, by the way, I want to respond to that comment earlier that we never got to meet in person. You're right. We actually haven't. I
We
didn't never
haven't,
thought.
yeah.
I felt like we had. Um, th- thank you for inviting me to that wonderful talk that you moderated. What a
Of
beautiful
course. Thank
group of
you.
people, and
Yeah.
absolutely amazing job moderating that. By the way, Dr.
Thank
Ham
you.
is quite involved in the American Academy of Cosmetic Surgery, one of their stars, and it was such an honor to be a part of.
Appreciate it. No, it was, I loved it because, for the audience, especially the ones that are colleagues that are versed in rhinoplasty, it was very, to me, I learned a lot about something that you immersed yourself in the recent years, and actually went to Turkey to learn from the master in a certain rhinoplasty technique. I want you to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, over the past couple of years, I have switched now to almost exclusively preservation rhinoplasty. Preservation rhinoplasty is not a new concept. It's been around since 1898. And it's the concept where we decide that instead of taking everything apart in a nose
Mhm.
and then tweaking things and then reconstructing it all in the way we like, which is called structural rhinoplasty,
Mhm.
a lot of value to it, and a lot of places that is used, and this is how I trained. Instead, why don't we not dissect things? Why don't we keep things intact? I think of it as a parallel between an open surgery versus laparoscopic surgery, to just get in there like a little mouse so that your nose doesn't really know we were there. And therefore you have to use smaller instruments. You have to think about a different way of approaching. So if you think about, for example, your hump as a two-story building, in a structural rhinoplasty, which is the classic rhinoplasty, we go and we cut the top story, and then we reconstruct the roof of the first floor. In preservation rhinoplasty, we essentially take the pillars of the first floor off and allow for the second floor to come down and replace the first floor. That's the idea. So I traveled to France and spent a good amount of time there with Dr. Saban, who mentored me through a lot of this, and then went to Turkey to spend time with Dr. Teoman Doğan, who additionally mentored me significantly in preservation rhinoplasty. In addition to his technique, we're working on certain publications and things to kind of add to it and move it forward, and so on.
Beautiful.
Um, yeah, we
Great.
we developed a very nice working relationship. I think he is a visionary, and he has beautiful, beautiful results. So
Yeah,
have
I admire them all the time. I'm obsessed with noses. I don't know why I'm obsessed with noses, but it's just like when people look at other people's food or stuff like that on Instagram, I every day look at noses. And it's funny. We're always students of the field. We never stop learning, and I find it exciting and fascinating. People like yourself and others to think outside of the box, and there's always a great value to it, and there's always indication for anything. The more tools you have in your armamentarium, the better equipped you are, the better surgeon you can be, and the better results you can predict and anticipate. So for all of you who honestly, if I ever needed a rhinoplasty, there would only be one person that I would go to. And I'm not saying because you're on my podcast. I've interviewed a lot of great facial plastic surgeons. I have a lot of great facial plastic surgeons who are some of my great friends. No offense there, but to me there is one nose expert here, and that's that's who I would go to. So For all
That
of the audience, and I mean it. I'm not like tooting your horn. I truly mean it, and I really admire you for that. Um, before we finish this, and I don't want to take, I already took more of your time than I told I will. So, but I could talk to you for hours.
we were just gonna start some tea, Daria.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start some tea. So, my kitchen is downstairs now, so that's not fair. But let me ask you a question. What is, within everything that you're doing and have done, um, do you consider yourself successful? And what's the definition? What's your true definition of success? Like, what does success do you mean? Does it mean um, we all set ourselves arbitrary goals, right? For someone it's to live in a country, for another person is to have a certain status, whether it's academic or in a business. For someone is to own certain things. To someone is to have a certain number of businesses. And what is it for you? What is it for Masoud?
that's a tough one. I think a bunch of different things. I wish I had one succinct answer for you. It's a bunch of different things. Success is so that my kids like me, so I don't do a crappy job as a parent. That I have in the ups and downs of life can maintain a beautiful relationship with my wife, and that means compromise, and it means a lot of times just letting go or whatever it is. Success means that I'm happy doing what I'll do. That Bruce Lee says, if you want to get to the moon or whatever, something about if you just focus on the moon, you'll never get to it. I think that's it. Success, monetary success. If you just focus on that, you'll never get to it.
Yeah.
Success is not that. Success is something like you wake up in the morning, you're happy that you're going to be doing a couple of noses and talking to some people about their noses or their faces or whatever it is that gets you excited. Those things are success. Everything else goes away. So I don't like to, this is my risk averse side. I don't want to hook my definition of success on something I'm going to lose. So money, fame, those things, they come and go. So if I define my success by those things and they go, then I lose all my identity. So I like to keep it to things that I can hold on
No,
around.
I totally understand what you're saying. Like you said it actually beautifully, easier probably than I would say it for someone to understand, because enjoying the process of what you're doing, whatever you're passionate about, is more important than some ultimate result that, by the way, we arbitrarily have set. And, like we don't even know the meaning of it. And then when we achieve it, we're happy for maybe 7 days. And then after that, we're like, now what? And when we don't achieve it, it's almost like our lives have fallen apart because we set that arbitrary goal that is something very concrete. And then even once we have it, if we lose it, kind of like I don't think, was it the Russian billionaire that during the recession lost 20 billion of his 40 billion fortune and hung himself because to him, that's what it is. I mean, dude, you have another $20 billion. Why did you hang yourself? Because to him, that was something he wanted. He put on a pedestal, and when he lost it, he couldn't take it. And so I think enjoying the process of what you're passionate about. I love the way you said it. Just waking up and being happy. Talking to people you enjoy, being around people you enjoy, taking care of your family. That gives you just fulfillment. Doing what you love, being a surgeon, and just changing people's lives the way you are, and further immersing yourself and improving. It's just self-esteem, self-confidence, affecting other people's life. I think that's you said it beautifully. Is what happiness and success is about. To me, they're related. They're one thing. They're essentially in a dictionary. They should be one word. They should be synonymous.
You're right about that. Last night, I was at a dinner, and the person I was at dinner with said, "How do you deal with your competition?"
That's a good one. This is a good one.
Yeah,
that was actually one of my. That was actually one of my questions.
This is a good question, because you don't often think about that. And And I thought about that for a minute, and I thought to myself, listen, I used to be affected by people around me doing the same thing as me. So whenever I played soccer, or when I was a street musician, or whatever I did in my life, I would be affected because I would look around me as if you're running a race and you're always looking to see who's catching up and so on. And I learned that there's only two possibilities, both of which make me unhappy if I compare myself. Number one is that I look at the guy who's behind me and I get a big head and I slow down. That's not good for me. The other thing is that I look at the guy ahead of me and I feel little and I feel like inadequate. Why is it that I'm not there?
Yeah, yeah.
So for these reasons, I decided I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna give it up my all. This is, by the way, another reason why I never read my reviews ever.
That's so
Because
funny, man.
if they're good, I'm gonna feel, oh, best doctor ever.
Yeah.
Then I feel huge. If it's like, no, this guy is no good, then I feel little. But I know who I am. I know that I always give it my all. I know that I do the best I can for all of my patients. So I dissociate myself from the other things around me, competition or opinions and whatnot. I just try to do the best I can.
This is like the secret of life. This is like we just guys. If you're not listening carefully, we're just talking about the secret sauce of life, happiness, whatever you want to call it. There's two things to that. There's one of President Roosevelt's quotes comes to my mind when he says, "Comparison is the enemy of joy." So that's what you essentially said. You essentially said that you don't want to compare yourself with anyone because you will never be happy. It's the enemy of joy because first of all, there's always going to be someone that could be better, have more money, have more success. But then what do we measure success by? Right? There's always some. So what's the point? Now, when you're so focused and passionate about what you do like you are, you actually don't have a reason to look around, see what others are doing. You're so focused and you're on a mission, on your own mission. You're not trying to live someone else's life. You're essentially living your own life, and that's why you're happy. And that, guys, is really the secret. Unfortunately, our society is designed for us to constantly compare because they want us to buy more stuff, to get more stuff, and comparison is like social media. Even now, teenagers, they compare themselves. And, I try over social media to educate these teenagers that DM, probably you as well, night and day. I mean, sometimes I don't get to all of them, but I feel I have a responsibility I just want to help them. But then I used to spend 20 hours a week on social media just answering DMs. I really had to cut that down because it was affecting my life and my happiness.
Yeah.
But just goes to show how our society is. It's all people are constantly comparing, and you better than anyone knows that, being a facial plastic surgeon. And the second thing is basically valuing other people's judgment. Unfortunately, we value people's judgment way too much. It's kind of like we think it's important because if someone gives us a negative comment, we value that. That's why we get sad, we get depressed. And the same way we value someone's positive comments, it makes us feel really good. So unless you don't value someone's disconnect from someone's positive comments, you can't disconnect from someone's negative comments. They go hand in hand, which means you shouldn't value anybody's judgment but yourselves. And I'm not surprised that you think that way because it's evident by who you are, which is evident, through your social media. I mean, it's like you're just as transparent as anyone on that. That's why I really feel that I know you so well, and I'm just not surprised that you just said that, and it's so evident. And to me, that's the secret of happiness. Don't value judgment and don't compare yourself with other people.
Yeah. I mean, there is nothing wrong with looking around at competition if you're looking to learn. There is nothing wrong in listening to others' comments if you're looking to improve by those comments. But if you're looking to allow your sentiments be swayed one way or another, then my friend, you have your sentiments placed in the wrong places. I like to focus. I like to put my eggs in the baskets that I can control. That's my family and my surroundings,
100%.
all these things.
You control your own destiny. That's 100% sure. I mean, you know, thank you so much, Saman. That was I could talk to you for
I
hours,
enjoyed it.
and I
I
really,
enjoyed it. I was gonna grab some beers
it's
just
as
like
I know, man. It's just like it's rare to find someone that thinks and is so alike, and I'm so glad. And by the way, folks, we met over social media, so social media is a great thing. I love social media. I met so many amazing people. I made um, I think I can call you. I consider you a friend, so I'm going to call you a friend. I've created a lot of good friendships just like with you over the years, and to all of you that demonize social media, just if is like a tool. If you use a knife the wrong way, you can cut food and eat and survive, or you could take someone's life with
you can do a Dr. Hamra facelift.
yeah, right. Or you can get a facelift with a knife, right?
Right.
So it's one of those things, and I'm so glad that we've met. I hope one day we get to work together. I would love to learn from you and work with you, and I'm sure the opportunity will arise itself. And
I look forward to it. That's amazing.
yes.
I enjoyed. Listen, you bring to the table a really awesome personality, a really amazing set
Thank
of
you. Thank you.
work and experience and background. This is not every day that this happens. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Knowing you. I appreciate learning from you, seeing your work, and I every day. It's not like here and there. I'm on your page all the time.
Thank you.
Always look, always learning, always appreciating.
Thank you.
And this is the beauty of collaboration. This is the beauty of collegiality, as opposed to all the other stuff, petty stuff. So, it's been a beautiful hour and a half with you. I've really, truly, I want to thank you also and your family for
thank you. I know
you to be away for an hour and a half.
So guys, none of this is possible with our family. So, I can't give enough credit to my family for giving me this opportunity to do the stuff that I'm passionate about. And thank you to your family and extended family as well. And thank you so much, brother. And we will talk soon.
Talking with you. Take care.
Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, that's it, guys. This is the end of the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. And for all of you who want to learn more about Dr. Saman, you can check him out on his website, dallasfacestock.com, or his Instagram page, Saman Plastic Surgery. And one more thing, please don't forget to leave me a review on Apple Podcasts if you enjoyed this podcast, so that many listeners like yourself have the opportunity to learn more about the Daria Hamra podcast and learn from the stories of these amazing human beings. Thank you very much, and tune in next time. Bye-bye.